Hey everybody, Christian here. In the previous video, we added support for creating a to-do using the new form, if we click in here, which took this parameter and passed it into a create function here, which ultimately created a new to-do. Now what we're going to do is look at editing a to-do and updating it. And it turns out this code is extremely similar to new and create, and I'll show you how that is. So first I'm going to say edit and update, and I'm just going to leave these blank for now. Remember, as with a lot of these routes so far, we ran Rails routes here to get a listing of our routes, and you can see all of these to-dos index, to-dos create, to-dos new, edit, show, update. All of these are defined by this resources line in our config routes that we set up. So we are still many videos in, basically relying on this one line of code to give us tons and tons of functionality. Okay, so with edit, if we come back and look at the route here, you can see it's todos/id/edit. So this is another one of those routes that is what's called a member route, meaning that it depends on a specific member of this resource. So much in the same way as show, we're going to be basing this this form and this template on a specific to-do. I'm actually going to copy this line over and just say to-do is equal to to-do.find with the ID parameter. So what I'll do is I'll go into, say, one of these, and I'm going to actually add a link to the edit page. So I'm going to go app views to-dos show, and down here I'm going to say h4 link to edit to-do, and it's just going to be edit to-do path, passing in the to-do variable there. If I refresh, I can see that the URL there is /todos/1/edit. And this error, I think I have kind of skirted around so far. So if you haven't seen this error before, this is an indication that we're missing a template. So to-dos controller edit is missing a template for this request format and variant. I'm just going to do app views to-dos edit.html.erb. I'll say edit to-do.name. Again, remember we have this to-do variable here based on the ID. If I refresh, you can see that. Maybe I'll even wrap it in quotes like that. Now, in order to build a form here, we could write that same sort of form for, say I go over to new.html.erb, we could end up writing the same kind of code here, where we create a form with a name field and base it on to-do. But what I'm going to do instead is actually reuse this code in something called a partial. So I'm going to say render form, and then I'm going to need to pass in the to-do variable into this partial, which is like a smaller HTML template, so that I can use it. So I'm going to say to-do is set to @to-do, and I'm going to delete this, or I guess copy it, and go to app views to-do todos/_form.html.erb. So again, this is what's called a partial, and instead of @to-do here, because I've where'd it go? There we go. Because I passed in @to-do as this key to do here without the @ sign, I'm going to come back. It's so many files. If I come back to the form here and I remove this, I'm now basing it on the variable that's being passed in. So why did we do this? Well, the reason we did this is now in the edit page, I can also say render form to do, and I'm now, I'm now reusing this form on both pages. So if I were to say, come over here and say label name and refresh, you can now see it fills in this name here, and it also changes it here. Maybe I want to wrap this in a div. Maybe I also want to wrap the button inside of a div. You can see that it's updated here. And if I refresh this, it's updated here as well. So we're reusing the form in both places. So that's really cool. I'm going to close some files here. So now we've set up edit, and now we need to set up our update, which, as I said, will also be very in the same way that that the edit page was similar to the new page. Update will be a lot like the create page. So I'm going to copy this here, and instead of creating a to-do here, we actually want to update an existing one. So I'm actually going to copy this line as well and say find it based on the ID, which if we go to update here in our routes is part of this, right? To-dos update is this whole section here. It's to-dos/ID. And I'm going to replace this with @todo, and we don't want to create, right? We want to update with to-do params. And we'll just redirect again to the to-dos path. And instead of finish the Rails or finish the video on Rails console, I'll say finish the video on updating a to-do. Kind of confusing because whatever happened to that old one, that's fine. Just an example. So now we've updated /todos/1 with a new name, right? It's still incomplete, but it was created at 17/24/11 UTC, and it's updated at 20/01/33 UTC. So we've updated a previous to-do. So now what we're going to do is we're going to complete this little series by being able to complete a to-do, which is going to involve defining a separate route outside of the kind of predefined routes that we have in order to support this change.